Welcome to the 16th episode of Rontro, Class of Retro. Hello everyone, and welcome to another review. Today, we will be reviewing Actraiser for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, which is also one of our Summer of Retro games this year, and it is also one of my all-time favorites. Actraiser was developed by Quintet and published by Enix in December 1990 in Japan, November 1991 in North America, and 1992 in Europe. There was even a mobile phone version released only in Europe in September of 2004. Real bummer for me because I would have loved to have had this game on the go. Actraiser is a platform city building simulation game that combines traditional side-scrolling action platforming with godlike sim sections. Let's start with the plot. The story follows a godlike being known as the Master. Unless you're playing the Japanese version, then you're playing as God himself, in his fight against Tanzra, known as Satan in the Japanese release. We'll talk a bit more about this a little later on. The Master was defeated in a previous battle with Tanzra, also referred to as the Evil One, and his 6 lieutenants. The Master retreated to his Sky Palace to tend to his wounds and then fell into a deep sleep. During the Master's absence, Tanzra divided the world into 6 lands which he gave to his lieutenants, who then turned the people of those lands to evil. Hundreds of years later, the Master finally awakens fully recovered to find that he has lost all his powers because the people no longer believe in him. It's now up to the Master to defeat Tanzra and his 6 lieutenants with his might and rebuild civilization by communication with his people through prayer. Let's talk about the religious subtext of this game for a minute. Actraiser is seen as an allegory for Christian monotheism. As mentioned before, the Master is referred to as God, and Tanzra is referred to as Satan in the Japanese release. Nintendo of America had a strict policy regarding game content in the early 90s, especially when it came to material that would be deemed offensive. Because of this, many games released in America at the time had some differences. Most, if not all, religious material was removed from American-released games. However, the allegory is still completely obvious for Actraiser, because the Master travels the world in a palace on a cloud, is accompanied by an angel, he slays demons and creates life, performs miracles, and is prayed to by the people of the world. The bosses are based on real-world religion and mythology as well, such as Greek mythology and Hinduism. The concept of religion is further explored during the ending of the game, but I don't want to give you any spoilers. As for the gameplay, the player plays as the Master, the main protagonist in the game. The Master is never directly controlled, however. When playing the game, you interact with the world by controlling an angel and an animated statue. During the simulation parts of the game, you control the angel, but in the action sequences, you play as the statue. The simulation mode is in an overhead view perspective. In this mode, it involves protecting and guiding the new civilization to prosperity, starting with only 2 humans. During this part of Actraiser, the player must take actions that encourage the growth of the population by planning roads and performing miracles such as lightning, sunlight, earthquakes, wind, and rain. You also must fight monsters as the angel by shooting them with arrows. The source of monsters in the simulation mode are blue circles with symbols called monster layers. In the Japanese version, they use the Star of David as the symbol, but again, with the censoring of anything deemed possibly offensive, that had to be changed. You must lead your civilization's roads to these layers so that the people of the land can seal the layers. By doing this, your civilization will level up and build more advanced homes, increasing the overall population of the world, and grants more hit points and SP, which is used to perform the miracles. Each of the lands in Actraiser consist of 2 side-scrolling action stages, one before the building sim and the other near the end. In the action stages, you must control a human-shaped statue that is brought to life by the Master. You must jump from platform to platform while monsters attempt to impede your progress. You can dispatch the enemies with a sword that the living statue is wielding. At the end of each action stage, you must fight a boss. The American release of this game was much different than the Japanese version. The game's title was slightly changed to Actraiser, Actraiser in Japan, with a new logo to match. Gameplay was changed as well, mostly in the action stages. The overall level design was made easier, many enemies were given new attacks, spells required less magic to cast, spike pits no longer instantly killed you, and time was increased, giving you more time to finish the level. The simulation segments were made tougher, however, mostly in the fact that it had become harder to reach the maximum experience. There is also a professional mode that unlocks after completing the game. This mode only contains the action stages, and the level design is similar to the original Japanese release, but still contain the other changes from the main mode. This was another awesome soundtrack from the 16-bit Super Nintendo. The score was composed by Yuzo Koshiro, also known for the music of Streets of Rage and the East series, among some other great games. Its release, coming out only 6 months after the launch of the console, demonstrated the compositional potential of future projects. A single-disc soundtrack for Actraiser was released January 25, 1991, but only in Japan. A shorter arranged soundtrack titled Symphonic Suite from Actraiser was released September 21, 1991. In 2004, a medley of music from the game arranged by Koshiro was performed live at the second annual Symphonic Game Music Concert in Leipzig, Germany. Just listen to the awesome music in this level. It really sets the mood for the setting of the stage. It's also my favorite track from the game. I still find myself humming the tracks from this game while doing daily activities. This will definitely be a soundtrack that will stick with you long after you've hit the power button. As for Actraiser's reception, it sold around 620,000 copies worldwide, 180,000 of them in the US, 40,000 in Europe, and a whopping 400,000 were sold in Japan. Actraiser won the award for Best Music of 1993 by Electronic Gaming Monthly. I really do enjoy this game. I've played it through many times, and it wasn't any less fun this time around. First time I had ever played this game was when I rented it from Frank's Video, which I've mentioned a few times already. I played through the game 3 times that weekend, and I begged my dad to get me my own copy. Unfortunately, it never happened. He eventually bought the second one thinking I'd enjoy it, but I didn't like it nearly as much as I did the original. It was a great weekend though playing the first one. What really caught my attention in the game were the sim levels. Those were my favorite parts of the game in those days, but I now find myself enjoying the action platforming stages a bit more. If I had to rate this game, it would easily be a 10 out of 10. This was one of the most enjoyable games I ever played on the Super Nintendo. The action stages were fun, the sim levels were a nice distraction and gave you time to breathe between action stages, the graphics were quite beautiful, and the soundtrack was top notch even for an early release for a new console. That does it for the review. If you have any fond memories you'd like to share from playing this game, then please leave it in the comment section below with any questions, comments, suggestions, or requests. I'm now live streaming on Twitch on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. Rontro Gaming is also on social media, and you can find those links in the description below along with the Twitch channel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and share these videos with your family and friends. Be sure to stay tuned after the credits for a quick tip. And this has been your host, Rontro, and I'll see you next time on the Class of Retro. Here's a quick tip. To access the hidden professional mode, beat the game, then on the title screen, highlight New Game and press down or select, and you'll then be able to play through professional mode, which consists of only the action stages.